we are the first group from Russia who's really popular not only in Europe and in America. That is really strange and we are really surprised. But it's great. We are not Britney Spears, we are not Christina Aguilera, we are t.A.T.u. And there is nobody else in the world like we are.
Let's rewind to the early 2000s, a time when the CD still dominated and filled the shelves of your local music stores. It was a vast, ever-expanding universe of new sound. Old musical motifs were being sampled, chopped up, and reimagined into new tunes being blasted across the globe. This, with the ingenuity that came from these artists, allowed for the creativity of colliding and merging genres to create something new entirely. All you needed was a CD and something to play it, and with the simple act of pressing play, you could find yourself being transported to your own musical haven. With new musical acts being formed up and thrusted into stardom from seemingly nowhere, it was truly a time when anything could hit the charts and dominate. And it's that moment in time that lies at the heart of this video. But before that, we need to take a brief pause and rewind just a little bit further to the year 1997, when the main characters of this story first met. First introduced to each other on the set of the Russian TV program myriad, a show where young singers performed and trained together, Yulia Volkova and Lena Katina were not yet the dominating duo they would soon become. Instead, they were part of a larger ensemble of talented singers. However, it was this early connection that would eventually serve as the foundation for them becoming a duo. Skipping forward to early 1999, to the inception of t.A.T.u, Ivan Shapovalov, alongside his friend and business partner, Alexander Voitinsky, opened auditions in Moscow specifically for teenage female vocalists. After auditioning a number of potential candidates, they were able to whittle it down to just 10 girls, Julia and Lena being two of them. Of all the singers, both Lena and Julia stood out because of their appearance and vocal experience, the latter no doubt being helped by their time in myriad. The producers decided to start with Lena and began to create some demos of the singer, Shapovalov deciding at some point around this demo phase that another girl must be added, and as a direct result of this, Julia was chosen to become the final member, forming a duo. Once the duo was cemented, the creation of its name started, the producers deciding on the name t.A.T.u, which is also a shortened version of the Russian phrase "t.A.L.u-biti", meaning this girl loves that girl, something which would play heavily in the image of the duo, as well as their song lyrics, branding, and worldwide marketing, not to mention the resulting controversy when paired with their first music video. Their now known Notorious music video was first played on MTV Russia on the 1st of November 2000, and would soon after begin appearing all over Europe. The video in question, which includes the most well-known and controversial aspect of the video, of both singers sharing a kiss. This, along with them being scantily dressed in school uniforms while rain continues to shower them throughout the duration of the video, was quickly swept up by media outlets, all giving their take on the matter. Possibly the most concerning matter of this being the fact that they were only 15 and 16 years old. The video, of course, now adding additional meaning to the band's name and calling into question the sexuality of both of the singers, which would continue to persist for many years after the release of the video. The music video won the MTV Video Music Award among the Russian nominees of 2000, marking the group's first nomination and win at the ceremony. Despite this, it caused controversy in Russia, similarly to the cultural impact of "Я сошла с ума". This resulted in the clip being banned on MTV Russia due to its propaganda approach on lesbianism and gay rights. Over the next year, the girls, along with the producers, worked on their first album, "200 по встречной", which roughly translates to 200 against the traffic, or it can also be interpreted as 200 into oncoming traffic. Their first single, released from this album, was "Я сошла с ума", meaning I've gone crazy, debuted on the radio in mid-December. The song took first place in playlist and broadcast on Russian radio, Radio Dynamite, Hit FM, Europe Plus, among other radio stations, and stayed there for several months. In total, "Я сошла с ума" played more than 10,000 times on national and regional radio stations. The popularity, alongside the controversial nature surrounding the song, paired with the wide-scale media coverage in Russia, no doubt boosted the duo's reach even more, as well as increasing commercial sales. Later calculations showed that 50,000 official copies of "Я сошла с ума" were sold in Russia, and the rough estimation of pirated copies sold sits at around the 200,000 mark. It was around this time period that the video managed to cross the path of David Junk, a Universal music executive and talent scout, who, in his own words, said, He knew the Moscow-based duo t.A.T.u was going to be my international breakthrough from the first moment I saw their controversial video. It then became David's goal to sign the duo to the Russian branch of Universal. What Junk was unaware of was that the rights to the current hit song in Russia had already been sold by Shapovalov for around $5,000 to a Russian music label, which was highly suspected to be linked to or controlled by Russian gangsters. This gangster-backed label had already manufactured and sold copies of the single before Universal Music became involved. $5,000 for a song that was currently at the top of the charts in Russia seemed like an absolutely ridiculous price to sell at. However, in Russia, around 90% of all music sold was on counterfeit discs. The pirates who made the bootleg CDs sold them in illegal outdoor markets and kiosks throughout the country, while local authorities turned a blind eye to all of it. Probably due to the fact that these pirates were controlled by organised crime groups that used proceeds from counterfeit sales to fund a host of illegal activities. So maybe, in the grand scheme of things, $5,000 wasn't a bad deal. Or maybe that was Shapovalov's way of thinking at the time. Regardless, it was a clear and huge blunder in hindsight, considering t.A.T.u was currently the hottest topic in Russia at the time. Despite what seemed like a rookie mistake of selling the commercial rights to your hit song, Shapovalov was a tough negotiator with Junk and Universal. He was demanding $100,000 for the rights to t.A.T.u, which would have made it the biggest record deal in Russian show business history. It was around this time that Junk found out that the rights to Yasoshla Suyuma were actually held by this Russian gangster label, and now the figure of $100,000 was beginning to make more sense, as Shapovalov would need the money to buy back the rights from these gangsters. Junk kept this revelation, as well as some of the more unsavoury aspects of the deal, hidden from his bosses at Universal. David Junk said in his book, Rockin Around the Kremlin, $100,000 was outrageous for an artist from that part of the world. None of my colleagues who ran Universal subsidiaries in Eastern Europe had ever requested that much. Ultimately, my London bosses agreed to the amount, and I used the money to pay Ivan, who paid off the gangsters. It is unknown how much money Shapovalov had to pay the Russian gangsters to reacquire the rights for the song, but it's safe to say it would have been a lot more than the original $5,000 he got for them. With the rights now held once again by t.A.T.u, on the 16th of May 2001, they were officially signed by Universal Music Russia, securing a deal for their first album, t.A.T.u. With Universal Russia now behind them, their album got wider distribution. They became a phenomenal success in every Russian city and former Soviet republic, including Armenia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and Ukraine. t.A.T.u topped the charts everywhere in the region, and their first song and video hit #1 simultaneously on pop radio and MTV in 2000. Figures seem to vary from source to source for album sales, but in 2002, at the IFPI Platinum Europe Awards, t.A.T.u's t.A.T.u was certified 1x platinum, meaning 1 million copies were shipped in Europe. The vast majority of these sales, unsurprisingly, came from Russia. Julia and Lena became superstars across the former USSR, playing to sold-out stadiums of crazed fans across Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, Germany, and Israel. Despite this, Junk knew that t.A.T.u would never go beyond the Russian-speaking audiences, and had great plans for the duo. He knew the only way to do this was to hit the Western audience, but that would mean recording an English-language version of the album. Junk went on a world tour of all the company offices. Despite climbing the Eastern European chart, no Western branch seemed to want to partner up, Junk stating if they had an English-language release, they could become global superstars. Unfortunately, none of them seemed interested in the duo. Junk stating that the other issues for the executives of the duo was that they would have to compete with American pop stars like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, boy bands like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, as well as big pop acts from the UK. Junk said his colleagues arrogantly dismissed the potential for a band not from America or the UK to have a hit in their markets. As a last resort, he went back to Moscow and mailed packages with the Russian album and videos out to all of the remaining labels in the Universal Music Group that they hadn't visited, and waited. And then the phone rang. On the other line was Interscope Records in LA, the same Interscope Records that housed artists like No Doubt, Marilyn Manson, the Black Eyed Peas, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Nelly, and Blink-182. The package found its way into the hands of Jimmy Iovine, one of the most powerful record executives in the world. He sent the CD to British producer Trevor Horn, who had worked on successful records for artists like Seal and Yes. He listened to the CD and was very enthusiastic about working with the girls. his only question being, can they sing in English? The English language version of Ya Socialist Suma was now known as All the Things She Said and released on the 13th of August 2002. Despite it receiving mixed reviews, it reached number 1 across several countries. It also reached number 20 on the US Billboard Hot 100, cementing them as the first Russian act to have a top 40 single and the highest placing for a Russian act to date. Based on certified units, it's estimated that the single alone sold 3.2 to 3.5 million units worldwide. No doubt fueled by the continual airtime of the controversial video across the world, the garnered attention from print media running provocative articles about the duo, all definitely generated additional buzz to keep the duo in the headlines, top of the charts, and most importantly, CDs stocked on shelves. All these factors combined with the catchy songs and the alluring visuals of their music videos helped keep t.A.T.u in the cultural zeitgeist, not just in Russia and Eastern Europe, but the entire world. All the Things She Said became one of the biggest hits of 2002 and 2003. The song peaked at number 1 in 17 countries and finished in the top 10 in over 20 countries. It ended up as the number 6 best-selling single of 2003 in the UK and number 16 best-selling single of 2003 in France. It ended 2003 with a chart performance at number 3 in Austria, number 5 in Germany, number 6 in the UK, number 9 in Ireland, and number 14 in Australia. According to Airplane Monitor, All the Things She Said was played 69,626 times across US radio stations, earning it rank 35 on the most played mainstream top 40 songs list of 2003. It also reached number 3 on Billboard's European Singles of 2003 chart, just behind Eminem's Lose Yourself and the Black Eyed Peas' Where Is the Love. The album would also reach 109 on US Billboard's Top 200 Albums of 2003. On the IFPI Global Music Report, the album reached number 12 on the top 50 global best-selling albums for 2003. Both Lena and Julia would keep creating music as a part of t.A.T.u for a number of years, and even represented Russia at the 2003 Eurovision Song Contest in Latvia and finished third, just 3 points shy of first. They would go on to release 6 studio albums in total, despite their first 2 albums being a breakout success in Russia and its English-language counterpart across the Western Hemisphere. Their subsequent albums would release to varying levels of success, all unable to recapture the lightning in a bottle that would be their first 2 albums. After their final studio album, Waste Management, in 2009, both Julia and Lena pursued solo projects. t.A.T.u would officially disband in 2011, but have occasionally reunited for one-off performances or promotional appearances since then, most notably being when the duo performed before the opening ceremony of the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi. Whilst the duo tried to stage a reunion in late 2021, persistent issues caused by the COVID-19 pandemic eventually led to its cancellation. The duo played a few shows in the following years for different events and recently reunited again in 2025. Performing at private events as well as a number of reunion shows taking place in Ukraine, Russia, Japan and Mexico. As it stands, the duo currently has concerts scheduled for Mexico and Brazil in May 2026. At the time of writing this video, All the Things She Said seems to be having a resurgence and has found its way back into the music charts. Following its use in the Canadian TV series Heated Rivalry in late 2025, the song can now be seen appearing across the top 200 in several countries across the Spotify charts, as well as Apple Music, YouTube and iTunes. Prior to the Heated Rivalry episode in mid-December 2025, the song was roughly earning around 3 million plays per week in the later half of the year. After the episode aired, the following weekly play count had rose to 7,414,580 and hit a peak of 9,155,514 weekly plays in January 2026. Given the current total number of streams as of the 18th of March 2026, the song has gained an additional 103 million streams since its use in Heated Rivalry. Given the data, the new average weekly streams is around 7.2 million, just over 1 million new streams a day. Whether t.A.T.u can use this momentum to relaunch their careers remains to be seen. However, with the new influx of Gen Z listeners, a loyal global fanbase, and the power of social media, anything is possible. While it's unlikely they will ever reach the heights of their early 2000s peak, they can take solace in the fact that people are once again attending their shows and listening to their music catalogue. It just goes to show that some pop songs can last for far longer than was ever anticipated, and good pop songs will always remain good pop songs, no matter what time period they are released in. Not bad for a song that was once at risk of being lost to the hands of Russian gangsters.
I mean, if anything, I think most of the kids here are just here for the music, and the image is like, okay, whatever with the image, but I think a lot of fans are probably getting fed up with the bad attitude, and I don't think they're going to be around very much for long, but I enjoy the music. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks for watching. Links and sources can be found in the description. If this story has interested you, or you would like some further reading on a topic, you can pick up David Junk's book to learn more about the crazy things that happened in the Russian music scene. Additionally, the t.A.T.u reality show can be found online, alongside some of their recent concerts on their official YouTube channel. If you have a favourite t.A.T.u song, memory or story, share them in the comments below. And finally, if you enjoyed the video or know someone who might, maybe consider sharing or giving the video a like, or even possibly subscribing.